This is about two teams playing against each other on a wicket that's the same for both teams.
Hi everybody, welcome to Outside Edge. Can you believe it? But the third test match is already over inside 2 days. We'll review it. Darren Goff will be alongside me. We're going to hear from Kevin Pietersen, from Joe Root, from Virat Kohli, all the big names here on Outside Edge. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Here is a shot again, another appeal for leg before wicket, up goes the finger, Joe Root's been given again.
It's gone. Anderson goes for the reverse sweep and he's been given out. England's second innings is over. They've been dismissed for 81.
81, barely believable. And of course when Joe Root goes, well, you feel that the house collapses around him, Goffey.
Well, he did. He's such a great player in Joe Root, and the way he's played in Sri Lanka and India, we've become almost reliant on him. He's such a good player of spin. He gets really deep in the crease and plays it through the offside or the leg side. And he can sweep as well. And it's such a vital factor if England are going to post any sort of score where they can defeat India.
Look, it's not an easy pitch, or wasn't an easy pitch to bat on, Coffee. I mean, rather, the Indians were bowled out for 145, and they're supposed to be very good players of spin, and our spinners aren't as good as theirs. How bad a pitch?
Well, I think it's unacceptable. I know it upsets our Indian fans, it really does, but India are a better team than us. Right? There's no doubt about that whatsoever, and I have nothing wrong with a ball turning. I've told these players, I've told Pakistan, Sri Lanka, India, and you expect it to turn. That's part of the battle. As a fast bowler, I used to think, oh, it's going to be hard work for me this next 6-8 weeks. I'm going to have to get wickets with a new ball, because once that new ball's gone, it's going to be a lot of spin, and it's going to be very hard for me to pick up any wickets. But what we have seen the last two test matches for me has been unacceptable. Turning and taking a piece out of the pitch from day one. And I'm a massive cricket lover, right? I love the game. I love analysing it. I love seeing great players bat and play long innings and get hundreds. I love seeing great bowlers get 5-4. But what we're seeing here is nobody's getting the opportunity to do that. Yes, we're seeing a great bowler, Ashwin. He'd get 5 for on a flatty. Never mind one that's turning square and bouncing. And same with Axar Patel, been very impressed by him. But when Joe Root, no disrespect Joe, fantastic cricketer, one of the best cricketers we've ever produced in this country, has bowled 6.2 overs and gets 5 for 8. As a guy who's a part-time spinner, who's only bowling because we went into it with 3 fast bowlers and Ben Stokes rather than a second spinner, it gives you the answer, doesn't it? And this is not on day 5, by the way, when that can happen. We're talking this is on day 2 of a test match. Joe Root gets 5 for 8.
So thumbs down from Darren Goff. However, Kevin Pietersen had a slightly different view.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying the wicket's rubbish, the wicket is this, the wicket is that. There's two teams playing a test match at the moment where anyone could win this test match. Anyone. So you've just got to try and find a way to win this test match. We can moan and say whatever we want, but it is what it is. It doesn't matter what we're saying on the 17th floor of a building in London, or what the commentator's saying, or what 1.2 billion people are saying in India, or 63 million people are saying here in the UK. This is about two teams playing against each other on a wicket that's the same for both teams. This will tell you who's the better players of spin.
And that's a fascinating thing
Simple.
about this test match, Kevin. Why it's been exciting is because
I think it's been great.
It's been fantastic. It's been great to watch and great to comment on.
Yeah.
It's exciting that, you know, you get 500 players, 400, and we're all asleep for 2 days. This is for me, it's brilliant viewing. Is it gonna bring people to love the game? Possibly not. Purists will not love what's going on.
I think it will. Well, no. Forget the. I think purists will love the fact that they can see Joe Root go about an innings in a masterful way, and he may have got 20, but it's worth 80. Some of the other players getting themselves in. Some of the players that have frailties against this, and that's why I say this is such a big series. In India, it defines you as a player. You want to finish your career knowing you've played against the best. What about that 60 I got in Ahmedabad? What about the 100 I got in Chennai that Joe Root can talk about?
He's got such strong views, and I kind of hear his point. I'm sort of thinking, I do think it's a poor pitch, but I don't think it's a shocker, and I don't think it's dangerous. I don't think it was ripping a glove off, but I think it was too much in favour of ball over bat. When you listen to Kev talk like that, and you did a lot throughout the game, the brief game, Did he begin to persuade you at all, or are you sticking with it now?
No, I love listening to him talking about batting against spin. I think he's an absolute genius. He's a great player, and he's really strong in his views. But when it comes down to it, he's toured India in a test series and scored runs. The pitches weren't like that.
No.
He wouldn't have the record he's got in India if the pitches were like that. Nobody would. I mean, the great players have struggled. Virat Kohli struggled on this pitch. He struggled last week. Yes, he showed signs of his class to get to 50 and things in the last test match, but he still wasn't fluent, was he, in the way he batted. And I just think when you're talking about two top teams here going for a place in the ICC Test Championship final, and both of them have been dismissed cheaply. I mean, 3 low innings, let's be honest with you, it can't be an acceptable pitch.
No.
And I'd say the same, by the way, Mark, if it was Seaman and he was Green and Jimmy Anderson and Broad. I hate those sort of games as well. I want just good pitches where, yes, it might go up and down on the 4th day if it suits the seamers. It might keep a little bit low, the odd one, or especially when you go to Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, when you get to day 3, the end of day 3 or day 4, the ball's turning like it is now.
Just a better balance
you
between
expect
bat and
that.
ball.
You expect that.
Okay, fair enough. Pitches are often such difficult things to be sure about. You can tell that by the team that Joe Root picked at the start of the match. You know, he thought there'd be much more in it for the seamers than perhaps for the spinners, but he got that wrong. So pitches will forever be a major conversation in the world of cricket. And guess what? In our commentary box, there was a massive difference of opinion, as I think you've just heard signalled by Goffey and KP. It'll be India next, and we'll also hear from Virat Kohli. Well, England blew it on the first day. I mean, the fact is that India didn't bat that well themselves.
What I am glad of, and I know it was, obviously I want England to win the test match, of course I do, I'd be daft not to, but I want to see a good cricket game. But what I'm pleased is, but I've heard so many people talking about you win the toss and you bat first, you win the test match. Well, we've discussed this on talkSPORT before, right? You bat first, you still have to bat well. And England probably fell, what? Oh, dear me. 80, 90 short.
Oh,
I would say
125 short.
Yeah.
250.
I mean, we're realistically looking, it would have settled Joe Root now looking back at the game for 200. We didn't. We got 112 all out. Not good enough. Absolutely not good enough. And then India, from losing the toss, have gone on and won the game. So as far as Virat Kohli is concerned, they're winning the series now 2-1 after being 1-0 down. And it's great. They're in the box seat now to go forward and play at Lord's in the Test Championship final. And he must be really pleased. And he's got some great players in his side. And they've all performed for him when they've needed it. Someone's always stepped up and delivered for India in the 3 test matches they've had.
Okay, well, have a listen to this, because Virat's view on the standard of batting in the match is, well, to be listened to.
Yeah, the result went our way, but I don't think the quality of batting was at all, up to standard from both teams, to be very honest. I know they got bundled out early, but even with our innings, we were 100 for 3, hoping to, make many more than we ended up with. Just lack of application on both sides. There was literally, very, very good pitch to bat on, especially in the first innings. We just felt like the ball was coming on nicely, odd ball turning, but it was just, I would say below par batting from both teams. Our bowlers were much more effective, and that's why we got the result. It was bizarre that out of the 30 wickets, 21 were off straight balls, and that's just, I feel that's just lapse of concentration or indecision or too many things going on in your head as a batter, where you're playing for the turn but you're getting beaten on the inside. I honestly feel like batsmen need to trust their defense much more than they are presenting at the moment. And Test cricket is all about that. You're not going to get results in 2 days all the time. And this was a classic example of batsmen not applying themselves enough, maybe. And that's why such a quick game.
You would expect at international level, at Test level, for us to have some good players in our side. And I think we have, but we've got some inexperienced players. I've been part of the conversation when we're talking about Dom Sibley, they're talking about Zach Crawley, should they have played for England earlier in their career? And the doubt has always been how well they play against spin. And they've thrown straight into the fire here, aren't they, going to India which is totally different to Sri Lanka. It's a different level of spin they've come up against with Axar Patel and R. Ashwin. Those two are absolutely fantastic. They give the batsmen no rubbish to it, and it's been a proper test for them. Pope, Crawley and Sibley.
One of the problems, it seems to me, is that a lot of them are bats coming out in front of the pad. That's fine, because DRS has so changed the way you have to defend against spin. You cannot get in the pad, basically. If the bowling's straight and they bowl wicket, you're in real trouble. So the pad's coming out in front of the pad, but they're still missing straight balls. Why? Is that because when there's so much spin, you get fearful of the spin, and so you're going with it and leaving the gap?
Well, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it, if you asked some of the best spin players of spin in the world and what they're doing. I would say they would play the line of the ball, and if it does spin and turn and bounce, you'll probably miss it if you stay on line with the ball, stay on line, which you
right,
see
but
it.
Don't go with it. You hold it
just
there,
stay the line
than,
and don't follow it, especially if it's turning away from you, where you're more likely to get a nick on it or glove. But I think too many of ours have got the head the other side of the ball, and then as soon as it slides on and skids on, even Joe Root's fell that way, hasn't he, in both innings. We've seen Ollie Pope being stuck on the crease and playing almost from second slip position through to mid-wicket, and had his off pole knocked out by Ashwin in both innings. We've seen Axar Patel go through the gate of Johnny Bairstow, and for him to get a pair in this match, and it's been very difficult. And watching just the techniques of it, listen, I'm a bowler, but still I used to have to bat, and I knew about the art of trying to play against spin. I was coached from a young kid. I mean, we only think back in my day, they used to say, never cut it off spinner. Never cut it off spinner. Now the reverse sweep off. So the game's changed, but still the principles playing on uncovered pitches or playing on pitches that are going to turn is play the line of the ball. Don't be sticking your pad there, because if you miss it, guess what?
Yeah.
You're out.
And what Goffey means by head is that if you're playing the line of the ball, have the head down low, don't have the head over here.
Spot on.
And that's why you miss it. It's a very good tip. I think we agree the batting wasn't up to scratch. We've highlighted a few little technical things that you have to think about when playing spin. But I do think that DRS has changed things for batsmen against spin.
It has. And listen, India here, Mark, in this test match have struggled. Against Jack Leach and against Joe Root. And if he's going to be really critical of his side, and listen, it's a great win, but he'll be saying, listen, we can't be letting bowlers like Joe Root get 5 for 8 against us if we want to dominate world cricket, which I would say that's what India want to do. And they've struggled to put partnerships together other than Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, who batted on the first evening really, really well, didn't they, under lights. That's the only chance we got to see the lights in action, and England seamers, really. So other than that, they didn't really affect the game. But it was good to see those batting so well together. But listen, he's got worries as well, you know. I mean, Rahane now's not got many runs for a while, really, at batting where he does. You got Rishabh Pant after that first test, which was absolutely outstanding and took us up. We were all like praising him to the hill, and he's now in a bit of a two minds the way he wants to play. You can see what he's wanting to hit it, but the last few innings he's got stuck on the
even
crease.
Pujara.
And Pujara doesn't look like getting a run at this moment in time. And with great players on the sidelines waiting to get in, he might have to. I don't think he will make any change. He's not going to make any changes to that batting lineup because it is fantastic. But I thought it was important for him tonight, for Shubman Gill, to get some runs in that second innings. Although they were only chasing 49, it was important, but he was there at the end of it. Really important for India and for the young man himself.
Yeah, fair point. It's also a good moment to point out just what strength in depth there is in India at present. There's a whole bunch of young batsmen they could pick on the sidelines for this game. Guys like, you know, KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal, tremendous players, and there are many more, I can assure you. For all the brilliance of the youth of Indian cricket, of course, it's experience that's still doing such a great job. 400 test match wickets for R. Ashwin now. Here's the Indian captain on that man.
We all need to stand up and take notice of what Ashwin has contributed to Indian cricket, and we should all be very proud of it. I told him from now on I'm going to call you Ledge. 400 is an outstanding achievement, and still so many games, so many years to go for India. And I think in test match cricket he's surely a modern day legend, and we're just lucky to have him in our team, and his skill sets. And how he applies himself and you know, makes those breakthrough performances for the team every now and then. And as a captain, I'm so pleased that he plays for us.
Well, what a craftsman. No question, Ashwin up there. Not the biggest spinner of the ball I've seen, but perhaps the off-spinner with the most subtleties and variations and overspin. So the ball hits the bat hard, doesn't it?
He gets bounced, he's tall, got a tall action. I say he can turn the ball when he really wants to spin it, but not one of the biggest turners in world cricket. But his natural variation and the cannon ball, obviously what people know as well. You can see it, but you've still got to play it. And if it bounces and it turns the other way, the opposite way to what an off-spinner would normally ball it, it's very difficult to play. And 400 test wickets, Mark, 77 test matches.
Amazing.
I know
think he's the second or third quickest ever, isn't he?
Yes, I know a lot of them are in India. I think he's got a hell of a lot of wickets.
So just to explain, to bowl the perfect off-spinner, you want the seam at 45 degrees, like that, going down to long leg. Then when it spins, it comes into the batsman. He can make it do that consistently. Then he can spin it like a top, right, around its own axis, so it skids off the leather, and then he can spin it over the seam, so it hurries onto you. So you get much more overspin and bounce. So, you know, he's got all those different variations and controls. He's really something, as is his new mate. I mean, we thought that India would suffer not having Ravi Jadeja, but they haven't suffered because Akshar Patel, I've got to tell you, he's as good a bowler as Jadeja, isn't he?
Yeah, I've seen him bowling in the IPL, and I've said to you, Mark, didn't I, but if I were putting a team together and I couldn't have one of the mystery spinners, which we'd all want in our perfect T20 side, I think Akshar Patel is one player I'd want in my side. His variation, again, very, very clever bowler, comes wide of the crease. He's got that nice, clever drift onto the stumps. He also turns it big with bounce, and the angle he comes at. He's a marvellous, marvellous performer. And we haven't seen him bat yet. He can actually bat as well.
Yeah,
so
right,
when you could think of India the strength in depth they've got, whether it be with the batting, whether it be with their seam department, which we saw in Australia, how many seam bowlers they've got to pick from. Just look at the spinners. Their best partnership is Ashwin and Jadeja. Jadeja's been out of this series, and then they've got Akshar Patel, who's come in, who missed the first test, didn't he, through injury. But he's come in and he's looked $1 million. From the moment he started bowling in an India shirt, he has looked the real deal. He picked up 11 wickets for 70 in this game. 11 for 70. And he's just started playing Test cricket. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Man of the match. And by happy coincidence, it's the perfect segue because this is our moment of the day.
Backside is in. And that's hit, folks, on the shin, in front of everything. We've seen this happen time and time again. That is the 8th wicket, the fall for England. And that is another 5-wicket haul for Akshar Patel.
Yeah, confirmation there of this great talent. I suppose it's all happening quickly for him. I mean, there won't be many people who've made their test debut and had quite the success he's had so quickly, will there?
Well, it's settled in right away. It looks like he's played first class, I think, for a few years. He's delivered. He ain't got a great average in first class cricket. But when you consider he's come straight into this test side, he's had 2 pitches, which have been quite helpful to bowl on.
Quite.
But he has been an handful, and he's the perfect partner for Ashwin.
Yeah.
When you're missing Jadeja, a lot of people start to panic. Hang on a minute, we're going to be missing Jadeja. And after watching that first test, thinking, oh, hang on a minute, England have got a chance here. With they're relying too heavily on one spinner, that's Ashwin. But since he's come into the side, it's been a game changer for India.
All right, well, game changers for India don't help England, obviously. England are now 2-1 down in the series. Joe Root, understandably despondent at the end of the day's play. The question is, how can he set things right in the 4th test?
A little bit frustrated. We didn't make the most of the opportunity batting first, if I'm being brutally honest. 70 odd for 2. Looking in hindsight now, you go and get 250 even, 200, and the game looks completely different. It makes that second innings a completely different scenario. Pressure's very much on India, and we find ourselves in a completely different position as we are right now. So that's probably the standout thing for me. And we just got to keep looking to get better. It was a tough week, but it's a week that shouldn't define us as a team. We've got some fine players in this dressing room, some young guys that will have to learn quite quickly, and we've got to bounce back strong in this last game.
Well, he's honest. That's the great thing, Goffey, like all you Yorkies, very straight, clearly concerned, but not overawed by the enormity of the challenge ahead.
Yep, he's right. I mean, they play better cricket, India. England will be disappointed winning the toss and batting first. They fell away so quickly, being dismissed for, say, 112. Just not good enough. But I think his last two interviews with us, Mark, have been excellent. He's said it as it is. He knows England have got problems against spin. Technically, the players have to go away and work a way to play against these two spin bowlers of India. I don't think we have any real problems, do we, against Bumrah or Ishant Sharma? Fantastic bowlers in their own right, by the way.
Yeah, just, they're normal everyday problems.
Yeah, normal
aren't
everyday.
They're not the out of the ordinary impossibles.
But when you're playing the high quality of Akshar Patel and R. Ashwin, they've got to find a way to play, and we've got to find it quickly going into that last Test match.
I've got to say, having a cricket ball in my hand again just makes me want to, you know, just.
What, bowl rather than bat?
He can still catch.
Well, I think if I played a game now, I think I'd be bowling more off spin rather than pace.
I think you would too. Goffey, thank you. Great
thank
stuff. I hope we've done enough of an appreciation of India for our Indian fans out there, because this is a remarkable performance. Remember, they bowled England out for 81 this afternoon and went on to win the Test by 10 wickets to back up the huge win in the previous Test. So India 2-1 up in the series. So thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like and then to subscribe. In the meantime, from all of us here at the Outside Edge team, we wish you well, and we'll see you at the next Test.